Getting recorded, right? I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can start. So let's start with the first one is like flat fill. So an image is there which is represented by a 2D array of integers. Each of the integer is representing the pixel value from 0 to this 65535. We are given a coordinate. This is the start, start row and start column, representing the starting pixel of row and column of the flat fill. And a new color value is given. Flat fill the image. To perform a flat fill, consider starting pixel plus any pixels connected 4 directionally to the starting pixel of the same color as the starting pixel, plus any pixels connected 4 directionally to those pixels, and so on. Okay, replace the color of all the aforementioned pixels with the new color. At the end, we need to return the modified image. So if we look at this matrix, if I think this matrix is like here. If you can, this is the same matrix that I have drawn here.
Okay.
So this is connected. All the 4 directions you have to check. First, let's say this is a old color matrix. Replace it with the new color, and all the 4 directions you have to check: left, right, up, down. Since you don't have up, you change its color to what you say, to new color. But if you look at this is not connected to any of the pixels, so this will remain unchanged, and hence will return this matrix.
Okay.
This is what, yeah. This
How
is
do we
what
find the color which we want to change?
they have mentioned. New color 2. Yeah, they'll give you in the question. Why with which
That's
color
the
you
new
have.
color we are adding, right? But how did you select one? Is it mentioned anywhere?
Yeah, they have given starting center here, given the coordinate SR and SC. 1 1, because this is 1 1
Oh,
1
okay.
1 here.
So they have given
So
the coordinates for that. Okay.
exactly, yeah. And yeah, some of the node points are like length of the image, and image of 0 will be in the range this. Given starting pixel will satisfy, yeah, will be less than image length, and image of 0, I mean row dot length. So the value of each color in the image, I mean ij, and the new color will be an integer this. Yeah, okay. There any queries here?
Yeah, it looks pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, exactly. The DFS kind of,
Yeah,
or any
we
other.
can do like a BFS or a DFS here
Yeah.
and reverse the entire matrix.
Yeah. We can use union find also. I'm not, but DFS will be far better, I think.
I'm not sure of union find, but BFS will be, yeah, DFS also.
Yeah, DFS, anyone, BFS or DFS, anything. Union find doesn't make any sense because I think.
So union find would tell us like what all things are connected.
Connected, but
Yeah, union find. Yeah, or probably first do a union find all things connected, and then mark them.
as visit, I mean, in one set, and those which are connected in other component in other set, right?
Yeah, so there would be two components here, 1 and 0. So all ones will come together.
And zeros will be
So whichever are connected, actually just take that and then change that color.
color. Yeah.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah. So anyone wants to share the code? Anyone?
I can share.
Yeah, sure.
Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, I think it's.
So how I did was like just so take the image row length, column length. So standard for any DFR or BFS, we take a visited, so don't want to do it again. take a old color and then set that place with new color, and then from there start doing the DFS. So we have to go 4 directions. So for that, I generally take an array to go with 4 directions. We can even do ourselves, and then this will start giving new coordinates in 4 direction. After that, another method to see like can I visit that new coordinate or not. It could be like out of bound. It could be like I have already visited, or it could be like uh, it is not the old color which I'm targeting. It could be 0. So all these checks are in a different method, and if it is safe, then set that new coordinate with new color, make it visited, and then keep on doing the DFS here.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
You can visited array, right? Like anyway, you're modifying the old color to new color. So
Yeah,
no need of checking the visited array.
so that is in the visited. Or
So
yeah,
he's telling that we don't need to use, because we are already modifying 1 with 2, right? So you don't need to keep track of visited array, because
yeah, that could be other way of doing it.
yeah.
Yeah, but this is a standard way of implementing DFS, no?
DFS,
So that
yeah.
actually makes
Yeah,
more easy
Like-
to understand. Yeah.
I felt like this template could be used anywhere. You have a visited is safe and this coordinates thing. If somebody says like want to go 8 directions, just need to put 8 directions here then. But right now here we are only going orthogonally, like top, bottom, left, right. So most problems fit in this template then.
Template, yeah.
Yep, I agree. So similarly, you can do the BFS way also, right? It's like either DFS or BFS. Yeah.
So for doing BFS, we need a queue and keep on. So there we have to also track some way to find the coordinates. So basically, if I have to do a BFS, I need to put a way to find the coordinates. Yes. So basically, it could be like a queue of integer,
Yeah. An array of integer.
and then we can keep on tracking. Keep on putting x and y's there originally, or we can create a point or some class and start putting x and y's. Either way, I think
Mostly I see DFS only in all these things. Yet, I mean,
it depends. Anybody, it could be a follow-up question like your matrix is too huge, so there could be chance of stack overflow with DFS. But if you do BFS, then it could be avoided.
Yeah,
oh,
that is one.
yeah.
But if we use the inbuilt stack, right? So we can still do it the iterative way for DFS also, right?
Iterative, yes, we can do iterative, but if you see the properties of DFS, it goes from one node to another node to another node to another node to another node, and it will keep on going till it reach the end. So the stack can grow like anything. But BFS, what it says, like first it will visit all its neighbors, then it will move to next neighbors.
Okay.
We use DFS generally when our height is less proportion to the width, right?
Yes.
Usually the matrix don't grow, right? So
Yeah.
that is what actually. And the image size also they have specified 0 to
Yes.
65K. Yeah.
655. Yeah. Can.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, my code is similar to that of what Hashim was talking. Like first I'm checking whether, I mean, whichever starting coordinate they have given, I'm checking whether it's already painted with new color. If it's okay, then we'll return. Else, take the coordinate of the old color, and in place of that, place the new color and pass this coordinate in the DFS function. And just a normal approach, row, columns. This is all the 4 directions. And this is getting the every new coordinate, and this is for the base condition checking whether you are going, I mean, above boundary or below boundary. Should be within the matrix. This is here. So less than your x should be less than your row, and this is greater than 0, again column, and greater than 0, and this that it should be your old color. Then only we need to modify it to new color. We replace it with new color and again call DFS on this.
Oh, so you have avoided that visited array over here. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, we can then switch. If any queries in this, or we can switch.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. Yeah. So this is like h index 2. We are given an array of citations sorted in an ascending order. Each citation is a non-negative integer of a researcher. We need to write a function to compute the researcher's h index. Now the definition is like a scientist has index h if h of his or her n papers have at least h citations each, and other n minus h papers have no more than h citations. So if you look at this example, so in this 356, we'll find that minimum at least 3 citations are there. And at index 3, if you go, that 3 is equal to the number this 3. So it's like they're explaining the researcher has total 5 papers and each of them have received these citations. Now, since the researcher has 3 papers with at least 3 citations each, and total is 5. 5 minus 3 when you do 2, and these 2 doesn't have citations greater than 3. That's why your result is 3 here. If you go for 5, so if you go for 5, then you'll have least as 5, and total your array itself is 5. So 5 minus 5 is 0. So you'll have none of the papers which will be less than 5. So that's why I think 3 they have taken here.
So you are saying 5 the value, right? If you have the value 5, if you take another citation, so you are saying it will have 5 and 6. That is the 2. Only 2 of the papers who have citations more than 5 or but equal to 5.
Ideally, it should be equal to 5. Because at 3, what you see, 3 papers you have, and that 3 should be equal to your this index, the element at this index. And the remaining of them should have citations less than 3.
So isn't it like always we need to look at the mid position?
Kind of, yeah.
That's all we should compare. Is it like that?
Yes.
Because you will have that is only actually index which actually meets this criteria, right?
To get the least.
Or am I missing something?
Yeah. No, it's similar to that only. To get the least citations.
In that example, if you change 3,
because if you okay, go ahead.
In that example, if you change the value 3 to 2, answer would be 2, right?
If you change this to 2, then you'll have least paper is 2, but index at each no, I don't think so. Answer will be 2.
I tried and it is 2 actually.
Really? So if you have 0, 1, 2, 5, 6, the answer will be 2.
Yeah, because we have 2 papers that have.
No, you have least will be 3. No, you have 3 such papers which have least citation of 2. And when you subtract 5 minus 2, 3, and you don't have 3 papers left, right?
In that case, yeah. Can you try to run?
Yeah, actually it is 2. That is what I is saying. That is correct. So whatever is at the index, mid index, that is the value. That is the answer, it seems. So if you just run this, I just ran it here, and I made that 3 to 2, and then I'm getting output as 2 and expected also 2. So it says that the index is more important here, it seems.
And but how to it's getting like, let's say if 2 is here, then you'll have 3 papers, right? Which will have least citations as 2.
Yeah, but we need to return that value. Okay, that is correct what you are saying.
Yeah.
But we need to just return that value.
No,
So
I think it's 2 is because we have 2 papers which have at least greater than 4 that are 5 and 6. So that's why answer is 2, because we have 2 papers like n minus h, which is 2, is less than that, and which are greater. It doesn't have to be equal, it can be greater also, right?
n minus 2 you will do, that will be 3.
Yeah.
And 5 minus 2 is 3, huh?
Yeah. So every time we are returning the number of h is the number of citations, not the value, right? So in that case, 2 means we have only 2 papers which have like greater than or equal to that index n minus h.
Oh, yeah. H is the citations, right? Least citation, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And not the number of papers having that citations.
So even in this example, I think 3 is a maximum value and 2 is also a possible answer, but we are taking the maximum value. That's why 3 is the answer, I think.
No, they are telling that least value you have to take, no?
Not least value, but in the definition they say maximum. There are multiple h value,
No,
then maximum.
yeah, it's correct. Okay.
Yeah.
see, H index, that is slightly incorrect.
Confusing.
What they say, H index, it doesn't mean we have to return the index, but we have to return the value at that index, and that is what the H index stands for.
So let's say, mm,
So
Like,
even
there's an example of list containing only one value of 100. Then what's the value? What's the answer for that?
if you have 100, then least paper itself is 100. You don't, 100 minus 100 is 0.
Yeah, but we have only one paper that has greater than or equal to that these condition follows with that. So answer is 1 for that.
Okay.
You can try for it.
yeah, what you're saying is right. I just tried it here, so
Can you share that? What?
Which one? Like example?
You have solved this one, right?
Yeah, but I'm not completely sure how I solved it. But I can share what I solved.
Okay. Because what I did was kind of binary search.
right. I also did the same both ways. One is the iterative way, the linear search, and the other is the binary search. So for me, I'm also trying it. I'm getting the same. Yeah. So even if I take 6 values of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so in that case, it will return 3. Yeah.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, if you take that as your test case, so it will return 3. So it returns that index.
So first we'll calculate the mid, right?
Yeah, if you calculate the mid, it is like even numbers, right? So
yeah, the 2 it will be.
So
sorry, 3.
Yeah, it takes 3. The output is 3.
No, 0 plus 5 by 2. I think 2 it should be.
Yeah, I also felt that, but it is 3.
Yeah.
So and 6 minus h. So n minus h. Okay.
Yeah.
That is what you return, right? N minus h is what
yeah,
you return, correct?
N minus, yeah.
So therefore, whatever index you feel which is greater than that number, you just return it.
What I did, like I calculated just mid and I'll compare with the remaining, like total minus that mid value. Like you have 5, mid is 3, 5 minus 3, 2. If that is equal to that, you return from that. Else you'll go to the left half. I mean, here if your m is greater than n minus m. So yeah, this will continue.
Oh, this is the binary search, right? Okay.
Yeah, binary search. Yeah. So anybody wants to share any other approach, code, or something?
Yeah, it is the same actually what you have done. And I have just one more thing, that is the linear way of doing it, and I got accepted on that too. So it is, if you want, I can quickly show it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so in this, the second example, actually it is the linear way of doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just iteratively going through each and every index, and actually this is the citation what I'm looking for. So this citation value is greater than or equal to whatever is the size, that is n is the size of this array, citation array, minus this current index. So whatever at that position, I return n minus idx, and idx is this value where I keep on incrementing it. Okay. So that also got accepted, and almost even the binary search was also of the same time complexity. Yeah, in the sense the times what is given there.
Yeah.
So if you look at it,
What
both
is
are almost same. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Who is this?
this Sandeep? Why do we need the IDX here?
Well, IDX actually just I'm keeping a count. Okay, the index actually when I'm actually going through the. Yeah, I think you might even not need that IDX. You can just return n minus I also.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, that should be possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In the linear approach, you're trying to take citation of I is greater than or equal to n minus I. But in binary search, you are taking citation of pivot is equal to n minus pivot. Like, how did that two are equal?
That is like.
So if it is equal, then I return, or else then I keep on doing the left and right movement, right?
Yeah.
But in case of linear, you take the condition as greater than or equal. Like it can be greater than.
Yeah. So if it doesn't satisfy this, right, it will come through this one, n minus l. So it will come out of the binary search, this while loop, and then it will return n minus l.
Oh, okay.
This question is also not that bit clear. Like the hint people will get because of sorted in ascending order.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it is sorted in ascending order. Therefore, we have to go use the binary search. That is what I
Yeah.
think.
Mm-hmm.
But the implementation looks very easy because we are so much used to do so much of complex problems.
Yeah.
So we feel this is very why
Trivial
it is so
question.
but yeah.
Yeah.
But that is what it is, I think. But if you carefully understand it, because we also got confused, right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Huh.
yeah. So I think Dilip was also there. So he was trying to correct it. Yeah.
Clarify.
Yeah. So, okay. No problem.
Yeah.
Over to you. Yeah.
Yeah. You can switch to next then. Yeah. So you have to calculate the maximum width of the binary tree. Binary tree is given. We need to write a function which would give the maximum width of the tree. The width of a tree is the maximum width among all the levels. And the binary tree has same structure as full binary tree, but some nodes are null. The width of one level is defined as length between the nodes, leftmost and rightmost non-null nodes in the level, where the null nodes between the end nodes are also counted into calculation. Okay. So it's like for this, you'll have 1, you'll have 2, but since there is no node, but still you'll consider it as a node only. I mean, for width. So at this level, you'll have 4. So they are returning 4. This is what they are saying, I think. Where the null nodes between the end nodes are also considered into the calculation. So your answer will be 4 here. Second, here we'll have 2 as the maximum. And for this 1, 2, and yeah, this is the maximum. For this 1, 2, again, I think here you could have 2 more, 4, 2, 6, and this 2, 8. And answer will be in the range of 32-bit, yeah, integer. There any queries?
How do they get 4? Can you how do the output is 4 on example 1?
1, yeah, see here first, here your number of nodes is 1, right? At this level you have number of nodes as 2, and
Oh,
at this
okay.
level
Oh,
this
okay,
you have to
okay, got
consider
it.
this also, even if it
Mm.
is not a child, you need to consider it. So here it will be 4. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
I think they do the breadth first search and just keep count each level, right?
Your level order, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we have. Yeah. So how will you calculate this? How many nodes are there in each level? If you
So,
treat it as a heap, okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, like a queue. We have a queue, and at each level we we get the size at each level and keep the max size.
Max size, that's true, but how will you count nodes at each level? I think index you'll have to take, right? Or how will you?
Oh yeah, index that too.
Maybe we can we keep like inserting nulls into the queue? I mean, we only control both, and the left and the top of the queue has some nodes other than nulls.
Yeah.
No, that should also, huh?
Yeah, so
Kind
in
of
this
separator.
case, yeah.
Yeah,
So
go
like
ahead.
where we have like 2, we have one right child, right? So we don't have a left child. So in that case, we can insert a null, right?
Null.
And then when we come to the next level where there is 5, 3, we'll have one null and 9. So we can count those all 4. Yeah, but we come to 9 or 5 or 3, we cannot insert nulls over there because they are the leaves.
That will, how will they take care of that? It is a leaf pair. If you insert null,
Yeah, we only insert no if there's a right child.
it's again like case specific, right? So if you have a left child again,
Yeah, right or left, either of it.
okay.
Yeah, to continue the loop, like you need to have like left and right most. Otherwise, we can break the loop there.
Oh, yeah. But the thing will be like in case of 1, 5, 1, 3, 2, if you don't have 5, so then it will be only 3, right, Shashank?
Pardon?
So in this first example, if you don't have this node 5, so the
Yeah.
answer will be 3, right?
Yeah, in that case.
Oh, so
Is it 3 or 4?
No, it should be 4 only. They are
No,
telling
yeah.
that even if you,
if there is no left, I think
sorry,
only
no, it will be 3. Yeah.
it will be 3, it seems, yeah.
I
So,
think null will be considered between the end nodes and the, I mean, right and leftmost nodes. If you have null, then only it will be counted.
oh,
Oh, I see.
The leftmost and the rightmost, none will. Between them, if you have null, then only it will be counted. That's why I think here they didn't consider. Here you'll have 1. Here also you'll have 1 only.
okay. Hmm.
Here too, yeah.
So
There
that
will
is
be
a tricky part. Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, but we can do it via the level order traversal, what Leon was saying.
Hmm.
And actually, when we are in a queue, we can use something like a pair, okay? And one we push the tree node, and the other we can actually put something like a position.
Yeah, index position where
Index
at which,
position, yeah.
yeah.
So if it is left, you just multiply by 2. If it is right, multiply by 2
Plus
with the
1,
previous one
plus
with
1.
plus 1, yeah. And if we can,
Kind of heap property what you used to.
right.
Yeah.
So is it we are returning number of nodes at the base?
Right.
Maximum
That's
number
what
of,
comes to, right? Yeah.
yeah.
But we are actually trying to see wherever we find maximum, it might so happen you can find maximum and up in some other intermediate level also. Yeah.
Yeah. There's
In this
example
case,
3.
yeah, in the example 3.
Hey, Santos, can you explain? We need to multiply the index by 2.
It's like if you have 1 here, let's index is 1, then this index will be 1 into 2. So this is as index 2. Then this should be at index 3. So 1 into 2 plus 1, 3. So that is what I was telling you.
Right. So yeah, if we start from, I'm starting from level at 0. For 1, it will be level 0. So then I come to level, the second level where 3 and 2 is. So for 3, I say it is 2 into 0. So it will be 0 there. Okay. And the second one, it will be 2 into 0 plus 1, which will be 1. So 0 to 1, I just take the maximum value. So I take the difference between them. 1 minus 0 plus 1 will be 2.
2.
So that will be my max value. And then when I come down for 3, it will be, here the level will be 1. So it will be 2 into 1, right? In this case.
Yeah.
No, so this is still 0 here, no?
No, you are telling for 5.
Yeah. So because
I think
here this will be 0, this will be 1, 3 will be 0 and 2 will be 1. So when I come to 5, it will be still 0, right? And this will 3, the third level 3 will be 1, right? Yeah, and for this it will be this is 1, like 2 into it will be 3. 3. So 3 minus 0 plus 1 will be 4.
4, yeah.
So if 5 not there.
So 5 is not there. So you will have 3 value will be 1, right?
Okay.
And this will be 2. So 2 minus 1 will be 1 plus 1 will be 2. Oh, so sorry, 2 minus, so it will be 2 minus 1 plus 1, right?
2 minus 1 plus 1.
Yeah, so it will be
2.
It should be 3,
Sorry.
right?
Oh, 3 minus 1 plus 1.
Minus-
So it will be 3. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
So 9 will be 3, right? So 3 minus 1 plus 1 will be 3. I think you have also used the same way, right?
Yeah, but just indexing I did as 1.
Oh, you did
started
added
from
1.
0.
Okay.
Yeah. Understand. So mine is like this. So I inserted tuple, like root I'll pass, and first value index of it I'm taking, and max value initially I'm taking, since at the root I have 1 node, so I've taken it as 1. I'm always maintaining the last node. So here your last node is 1. So once you pop this into, I'll show you with the example, I think it will be better. So what I'll do, first I'll push 1 and its index. I got the index and 1. Now I'll pop out. When I'll pop out, I'll have node as 1 and index as 1. Now I'll try to insert all the children of 1. So when you insert the children of 1, 3, 2, along with their indices, you multiply 1 with 2. For this you'll have 2, and for this you will have 3. And at last what I do, I'll check whether your last node and the node that you have popped, if they are same, then I'm updating it. How will I update it? Like in this queue, I'll take the last index minus subtract the first index. So two's this position minus this position plus 1 I do, that will be the number of nodes present at this. Yeah. And similarly, again, you pop out, next you will pop this 3, 2. So 3 you will pop out. When you will pop out 3, you will insert left and right of this. So when you insert left and right, 2, 3 was already there. So its left will be 5 and index will be 2 into 2, 4. And for this, it will be 2 into 2, 4 plus 1, 5. Now, if you see, your last node still is 2 and your current node is 3. They doesn't match, so I won't be updating the maximum. So only I'll update the maximum when I reach till here, this point, end point.
Yeah, the last one on that level.
Yeah, last one on that level. And again, you pop this out, and 2's you don't have any child for left, you have right. So I'll just insert this. Now your node 2 and this matches the last node. So again, you'll update it. I think here, I think I have made mistake. I forgot to 5, 4 should be here. 5, 4, because I have deleted only 2, 3. So 5, 4 should be there. Now here your last node matches with this. So you will take a difference of this with this plus 1. So 7 minus 4, 3 plus 1. This is 4, and max of these two will be 4. After that, when you pop this out, you don't have anything. So I won't insert. You pop it, you don't have anything. In 9.7, you don't have, so you'll return this. If we look at the code, so first I told you that I'll insert 1. I'll pop it and insert its left child if it has left, and along with the index, with right along with the index. Now at each level, I'll check whether the node that I popped out and the last node, they are matching, and length of queue is greater than 0. I'll just what I told that in this queue, you take the last index, this, minus the first index, this value, plus 1, and just update your last node, and just keep on doing. At last you'll have.
So if the node is null, you also increase the index, right? Where do you increase that index?
If the node is null.
Yeah.
No, he's not doing that here. Yeah.
So like the left child of 2 is null, right? And then you increment the index.
Yeah, but
that is not required actually, because in this case, if you just multiply by the index with the IDX is the previous level, right? So if we multiply by 2 or multiply by 2 plus 1, you get the value. Yeah.
Okay.
Parent index, it depends on this index.
So yeah, you can do it via that way. What Leon was saying, you can actually add a null, but that becomes so complex, because if we go for the case where we don't have a 5 in the example 1, so then to keep a track of all that, you will have to do a lot of tricks. And I think it can still be done, but it will be slightly difficult.
Complex, yeah.
Yeah.
And secondly, how will I take care of this leaf? Let's say if I got null here, leaf also will have null, right?
Yeah,
So
that is also
how
there.
will you
Yeah.
tackle the?
Mm.
Hmm.
So, Shashank, in your example, in your implementation on line 27, when you are saying node is equal to last node, even
Yeah.
if you don't use this condition, is it still, it will still work, right? Or no?
No,
Because you
but
can keep on
this.
doing the maximum value, right? You can just take whatever is the max at each and every level.
No, but this I'm doing because once I reach here, then only I'll be able to take the length. Otherwise, if I don't keep this condition, length of Q will always be greater than 0, no doubt. Because once I pop it, let's say first time I inserted 1 and I'll pop it, Q will be empty and this will be inserted. Your node Q will be full. And since your length of Q is greater than 0, you'll start updating it. But how come I know that the length will be, I mean that I've inserted all the nodes at this level? And if my node is equal to last, then only I'm taking the length of this. If I don't keep track of node equal to last node, that shows that I've reached up to this point.
Yeah, but you won't have any case wherein in any intermediate case where you will have value max of the nodes, because that is the only case where you will have, right? So
I think let's try this
yeah,
one. If it works, so this will be like, let's, this will work definitely. Yeah, let's submit it.
it might actually, it is good for optimization. No, it didn't
No,
work.
here.
Yeah.
When you have all the, this is like 1 is the parent, 2, 3 is the child, and 2's child is 4 and 5, right?
Okay, so you still have to take it that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the corner case. Okay.
Case is one of the, I think tree visualizer should be there.
Yeah, it is there.
Yeah. Yeah, this case I think it will. Sorry.
So you'll have to go for that case. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, any queries in this further?
So one thing, can we make
Yeah.
use of vertical order traversal in solving this?
In order you are saying?
Vertical order traversal.
Vertical order travel. So like you
DFS.
DFS only.
Yeah, so horizontal distance from the root. For example, for 3 it would be -1 and 2 it would be 1.
Got it. This one you will take at origin, and to the left you will have it -1, -2, and right you'll have +1, +2.
Correct.
Yeah, but how will you keep track of nodes at each level? What is the maximum?
So I was
Yeah, you
thinking
can.
of
I think.
making an ordered map, but that would be inefficient. And so basically my minimum value in the ordered map would be the, but I have to maintain it for every level, right? So I don't think that would work.
No, but you'll be giving the indices to everyone, right? Like 5 will have -2 and 9 will have -2, isn't it?
Yes.
So you can take the difference of that. That will also give you 4. And here, if you take, it will be -1, -1. So it will be
-1 and 1, right?
Sorry, -1 and 1. So it will be 0.
2.
No, but everywhere it will be 0 then. Like
No, it would be
this
2.
will have
1 minus of -1.
Oh, reverse. Huh? He's simply adding. Yeah. That way you can keep track of nodes at each level. Like.
But at each level, you only need to keep track of 2, right? I mean, of 2 node. I mean, 2 value, the extreme, the left and the right. Right, the extreme left and extreme right.
Yeah.
Right. And take the difference of them.
Yeah.
But it doing recursive DFS.
It's not DFS. Is it DFS?
Yeah, that is what he was saying, right? DFS you do and keep an ordered or unordered map and have an indexes for each and every level. and then keep on incrementing the indexes -1 or +1.
Correct. Yeah.
That
It can be a dynamic array, right? It does not need to be a map.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, either of it works. Yeah.
Have you implemented it like?
No, I thought of using the audit map, but that would be more inefficient because that takes n log n.
Yeah, you, as Leon said, you can use an array also, right? In that case.
That array will contain the indices, or
yeah.
Okay. I haven't implemented it yet.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. No problem.
So see, Shashank, why I told you about that last condition, I will just show you in my code. Without that, I was able to do it. So that is the reason. But then I think there is some difference. Okay. See, in this case, but only difference in yours and mine. See, this is a queue. I'm pushing the root here. I'm using a pair of tree node, and this is the position. Okay. So for the root, I've pushed 0, and then when I come here, when I'm actually iterating through one of the level, so this is where I iterate for one level, right? So when I come inside, in this case, I actually do is I'm actually keeping this left, this value left is equal to -1 when I start the traversing any levels. And when I come here and when I'm trying to check for this node, whichever I have popped from that queue, the first one, and I'm putting the left and right, I'm just putting all those positions. Multiple, 2 + 1, 2 + 1. And then if left is equal to -1, that is the first position, I mark that as left. Okay, and then I just take a max value of position, whatever is the current position minus left plus 1. I know, like when I do for the first one, for the right also, I'll get just 1 or 2 value. But at the end, when I go for that level, so whatever is maximum will always be there. So this might be slightly inefficient way of doing it. Because you are actually just comparing at the last index, right?
Node,
last node. But I'm actually doing it for all.
This left equal to -1 will track that first time you have visited that node at that level. I mean,
right? Yeah, that is the first one. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just return. So this worked actually for me. So that is what I was wondering, like why. But yeah, in your case, you are actually using to map that, and you still.
So does it work if there's only one node? Because it's only one node, then we say left equal position, and then they stop, right? It's not going to get the max.
You're saying one node like this?
Yeah.
So actually, it is. Did I take any care of that base case somewhere? Yeah, actually, I'm taking care of it.
Okay, yeah, take care.
Okay.
So those base cases I'm taking care of, and therefore I think this is working.
So if it's like a linked list, the tree look like a linked list, and then it's gonna, it keep going, but it return 1.
So you are saying linked list as like a one which.
Yeah, without the tree, without a left node only.
Okay, something like this. I'm not sure whether it is none or none.
But yeah, I think it worked.
It should work, yeah.
Yeah, because you have a condition up there.
Yeah, like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me check.
Skewed one, yeah. Right, skewed.
No, for that, the upper condition is not for that. Actually, it's only for the leaf one. So it will still come in this while loop. You know, see, I have this base case only for root is null, or if it is a first one without any leaves, or else it has to come here. So in this case, it will come inside the loop. And if you run, it will give, I think, 1, right? That is what the value should be.
So how does it get 1?
Yeah, because what it will do is at every level it is going to come here, right? So every level it comes here, and left is always -1. So whenever you come inside, so whenever you have any of the leaves, when you're trying to push it, right? So before that, left, if it is equal to, so level is 0 in the first case, right? So when you are pushing 2 into 0, or here in this case, they are all right ones, right? Yeah. So they are all the right trees. Correct? Yeah, they are all the right. So in that case, it is going to be, how do I go back? Yeah, so in this case, it is always going to be the level plus 2 position plus 1. So first will be 0, 0 plus 1.
1.
So this will be 1. And left is also the same, because you have only one node there, right? So whatever value you have, you will always be there.
But then you don't go into that else loop, right? Else statement, right?
So it didn't go in that else, that is correct. But actually you are putting it here. So at the end, that's interesting. So it returns max v. So max v is always 1. Yeah. Yeah. So it
because
goes
it
to the max
default to
v.
1.
Yeah, it has defaulted to 1. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. The logic inside the loop is not taking care of it.
Right, right. But actually, because see, if you take this condition, at least it has to be 1, because when you are coming inside this loop, it means you have at least one node at one level, right? So that is the minimum level, minimum node you have to have, or else you are not going to come here at all. You will have at least this, or it will have more than that. So that, therefore, keeping this as a default is okay.
Yeah. But if we, if that happened to initialize to different number,
then it won't work. Yeah, absolutely, it won't work. Yeah, then I'll have to take care somewhere here, saying if it is left, and then I'm coming out of this, what you say, this level, right? So I have to say, okay, if it is nothing, then I have to set that max v here. So that change I'll have to make. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, you'll have to make some change there. Yeah.
Modifications.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yep. Good point. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just stop there.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other queries or?
Nope. I think that's.
Yeah.
That's